why don't we create some characters? I mean, obviously, as y'all are coming in, let's talk. We can still have table talk. Shlomo, you can still talk about your dragon heist adventure. Goats will mow down your lawn in no time, no effort on your part. Oh yeah, lots of goose poop. Oh, you're creating a character right now. Well then, Oh Sheeps is one step ahead. All right, so what you can see here is the improved version of the character generator that we've been working on. And I already have a character sheet ready to go that will follow the prompts that we go through to create a character. And not just mechanically. I want to create a character. Someone with a backstory. Someone who can make decisions. Someone with whom we can connect. And when we finish that and we have all of these prompts, then I want to take it one step further this week, and I want to draw inspiration or show you where you can find inspiration from your local newspaper. You're going to be doing Ghost of Saltmarsh. That's cool, Oh Sheeps. They can be painful ear sores, bubonic one, but at this time of year, they have amazingly adorable goslings that just waddle around, and you just want to go and hug them and absolutely love these little yellow wobblers. It's just a shame that their Cobra Chicken parents will just hiss at you and be absolute meanies about it. All right, so let's open our dice roller. Dun, 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 dun. And we can put this off to the side. Now you can see here that I have full power to engage the official content printed options. If I want to open up races from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, boom, they get added in. In fact, here I'll show you. So here's our basic 9 out of the player's handbook. And we want to add in races from MTF. Suddenly, we go to 10 as we have the Gith that are added as a race. But look what it did to the sub-races. Look at the Tiefling. We have an Asmodeus, a Beelzebub, Dispater. However, because we're going to keep things rather vanilla here, I have my player's handbook and my Dungeon Master's guide, if it comes down to it. And we are going to draw our information. This is going to be a nice D&D 101 session. I mean, maybe. This is tourist season, Black Wolf, and so, you know, while Florida certainly has a lot of their own amusement parks, because we have ours up here, I mean, we do get, we can get Florida people. We get a lot of folks from Michigan. Florida Man is just a CNPC or a KDEC neutral PC. All right, so anyway, we have all of this, and let's put it to use. I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, this is a complicated process. How are we going to determine anything off this sheet? This is very intuitive, very easy. And let's just get our done. First things first, I'm going to roll a percentile set. And we're going to determine if our character is female, male, or multi-classed, in which case we'll roll again. 8. So we have a female character. And now I'm going to roll a d10 for race. And if I get a 10, I'll just re-roll it. I could manufacture a 9, but I want to roll dice. 3. All right, so race number 3 is elf. Meaning that we can get a drow, a high elf, or a wood elf. Now, there is a... In the prior sheet, we had a consideration where we would only generate a drow if we also ended up with an evil character. I don't know if that's, you know, something that we necessarily have to abide by. And you know what? For this week, we're going to keep it a 33.3 repeating chance of that happening. So let's make a 3-sided die and roll it. 2. Subrace for, we have a high elf. So we have a female high elf. We're going to use the Morg's distribution for alignment. So I'm going to roll a percentile. 54. Lawful neutral. A lawful neutral female high elf. And now I'm going to roll another percentile to determine at which level we're going to generate this character. We rolled a 3. This is, all right, nice bread and butter low-level character. I'm going to start putting this info here. So we have a female high elf, lawful neutral, level 4. Now you'll notice level 4 what? I mean, is she a wizard? Is she a sorcerer? Is she a paladin? I don't know. I know that we often want to describe our characters as, oh yeah, I run a half-orc fighter. Well, what does that really tell you about the character? And so through the methodology, if you haven't seen this before, there are certain things that I want to develop. Hey, Azrael. Thank you for re-upping. Oh, 6 months. Azrael, look at, yeah, look, you have a nice orange salsa. You have like a salsa con queso dip next to your name. Thank you very much. Hey, and Neo Realms is here too. Awesome. Oh, you have a new hunting dog. What is the name of your doggo? Now, because we're level 4, I will roll a percentile, and if we get a 76 or above, instead of taking the stat bump at level 4, we will take a feat instead. Yep, we're taking a feat. I rolled a 90. So let's come back over to the Char Actor sheet. And note that. Our background sources are from the player's handbook only. I'm going to manufacture an 18-sided die and roll it. And we will see which background we get. And while there are technically 13 backgrounds in the player's handbook, you can see that these ones are split out. For instance, Entertainer, but that one has the Gladiator like option. So, roll an 18-sided die. We got an 18. We have an Urchin. She is an Urchin. Now it is time to discover her class. Here we go, the big golden D12. You all ready? 3. She is going to be a cleric. And specifically, well, there are 8. Oh, there we go. Now there's 8. There are 8 domains for a cleric. I'm going to roll a D8, and we're going to discover which domain is her affiliation. 5. She is a nature cleric. All right, let's load that onto the character sheet. What am I using to fill out the character sheet? This is a custom random roll guide created for the channel. Based on just the storytelling methods that I use and the way that I want to go about exploring the characters and not just worry about their numbers. In fact, when we make this character, the stats, like the numbers, are the last thing that we drop. Well, I mean, if there's magic that's going to ride on it, but like the spells. But the numbers are the last thing that, like the last major thing that goes into a character. At this point in time, I don't care about ability scores. I want to know who our character is. That way we have our roleplay prompts. That way we can make firm decisions about the character. And everything else will follow suit. But this is going to provide inspiration and act as an excellent beacon as we would roleplay this character if she was going to be ours. Oh, the PDF? It's a variant character sheet. And if you want the official ones, then there's those too. All right. Class feature sources. Well, for a cleric, there's no fighting styles or domains. I mean, there's domains. I meant, like, you know, Druid Circle or whatever. So we don't need to worry about any class features there. Now, lastly, for physical attributes, we are going to go to a high elf. And as you can see, the ages of the characters are here. Now, this is when they reach kind of a physical, like how we would assign the traits of these mature stages. We would in an elf, you know, we would see them. They culture. I'm sorry. How do I want to put this? In the D&D, in the player's handbook, elves aren't adults until they're 100 years old. That said, they are still going to age as a human, and so they will look like a human adult at 18. But culturally, they won't be accepted as an adult until that point in time. So what you're seeing here, though, is simply the biological age of the race. And all of the base height and weight modifiers also change with the drop-down menu, which has all the races in it, including the D&D time races, by the way. All right, so let's roll a percentile set and find out how old our character is. 48. So this is going to be an adult. And an adult is 18 plus 263 years. Let's make a 263 sided die and roll it. 30. Okay, so our adult is 48 years old. So looks like an adult, is culturally a child, unless your elven society and your world is different, and it may well be. You may not want elves that live to be 700 years old. You may want them to die at the, you know, naturally at the end of a human-like life cycle. That's perfectly fine. Can humans have a subrace, or is it just human? There's a variant human. It's not necessarily a subrace. There is a... It is not official in 5th edition yet. There is a half-dwarf race called a Mul, M-U-L. But when you start seeing some 5th edition Dark Sun content coming out, that is when you will get to meet the moles. Now, our base height and weight, we're going to start at 4 feet 6 inches tall, and we're going to add 2d10 inches to her height. 13. All right, so we are 4 feet 19 inches. And now we're going to take that same 13, multiply it by 1d4, and add that to the base weight. 2. So we're adding 26 pounds. So she's 116 pounds, standing at 5'7". And now this 116, it doesn't count against carrying capacity. This isn't if she has a full backpack. This is just her, right? As I say, like, she wakes up in the morning and, you know, she's in her jammy pants and she's brushing her teeth, and like that's just her. That's her weight. Like, it's her natural weight. It's not all her daggers. It's not loot or anything like that. There's one last thing that we need to randomly generate before we retire our character creator. And in all honesty, we don't even need the character creator for it. We need 2 personality traits from the Urchin background. So we're going to roll 2d8, and then we're going to roll 3d6 to get an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. Okay? So 5, 8... 3, 4, 3. 5, 8, 3, 4, 3. 5, 8, 3, 4, 3. What does this mean? I don't know. And that's the beauty. We don't have to know. These are just placeholders. We are going to come back and with our bones, our lot has been cast into the augury dish, and now let's read the results. What I can fill in is elves are medium-sized creatures, so I'm going to sneak that in up there. Hey, Roger, welcome. All right. Now I'm going to keep that there. Let's bring up our players' handbooks. Now, obviously, you all brought your players' handbooks to class tonight, right, everyone? You knew there was going to be a workshop. You better have your players' handbooks. We're going to open it to Chapter 4, which is where we find personality and background. The character creation method in the first chapter of this book doesn't start with background. I do. And I frankly feel that it is, it's not a more advanced way, but it is, I believe, to be a more superior way of creating a character, because we want to find out, what has this character done in the time that she's had? What are her hobbies? What's her life? What was her first or current or former job? What are skills she's picked up besides just being an adventurer? No, well, probably not too much Azrael. I mean, there's probably still some good inspiration. Misfit, hello and welcome. Hello, Hark, also. We just... All right, Hark, if you're going to show up now, this is the excellent time. We have, we've rolled the dice. We have some random prompts for our character. And now it's time to look into her personality and to start understanding her history and creating a backstory and going from there. Been streaming classic WoW, trying to see if it can revert you to your 20-year-old... oh, pardon, hiccup. If it can revert you to your 20-year-old self. Well, I wish you well in that adventure, Misfit. Okay, as an urchin, we are going to have proficiency in sleight of hand and stealth. We are also going to get tool proficiency in a These Guys kit and thieves tools. We are going to be given some equipment, that being a small knife. You can talk to your DM, and maybe your DM says that the small knife would count as a dagger. Maybe instead your small kniff is just a little, like a pocket knife. You know, maybe it's only 1 point of damage plus dex or whatever instead of a 1d4. Or maybe it's a letter opener. Or, you know, it's a small knife because of whatever reason. So it could be functional like a dagger. Doesn't have to be, but let's give a dagger above, and maybe this one has sentimental value. So, you know, you would say, I'll give it to you as a dagger, but I want you to name it, or I want you to create a story behind it. Why are you holding on to this thing? A map of the city you grew up in. So we're going to put city map, because your feature means that you can really get around cities well. You know, you've been out on the streets. You've been in the, maybe even in the sewers. You've seen a lot of things that you ought not have seen, but you seen it all the same. Well, we're not far enough yet for things to write itself, Black Wolf. It may still manifest. What are we making? Apparently an urchin. I'll probably not be here long because I got sick over the weekend. Oh, Hark, I'm sorry to hear that. By the way, Hark, if they haven't arrived yet, you should be receiving your minis tomorrow? Yeah, Bubonic One, you're certainly welcome to talk about that. You like the idea of a city in the sewers of a city? And that may very well be the case for this character. We shall see. Oh, you did get your minis today. Awesome. Okay. Did everything arrive in decent condition? Was everything packed okay and arrived safely? I'm sorry it took a little bit, Hark. My normal person who ships actually got sick. And so I ended up having to go down to the store and do it myself, since I wasn't able to pass them on to my shipper. Everything was okay? All right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the community and for hanging out with us, Hark. I hope that you get some good use out of those minis. There's a lot of sources you can get that PDF, Venlin. And it's impractical for me to hold my physical copy up to the camera, and so I obtained a digital copy of it. Oh, Misfit! Hey, thank you for it says you converted from Twitch Prime to a tier 1. Thank you very much. All right, what else do we get? A pet mouse. Now, does it have to be a pet mouse? It could just be a pet something. Maybe a little snake. It could be. It could just be a pet of some other tiny creature. But we'll have. This is a good prompt. Whether or not our personality traits, dictate how we interact with it, that's something to think about. Why do we have this animal? Like, stop and think about the prompt. We can completely disregard it. If it doesn't make sense, I don't know, if it just doesn't work, or we're just like, no, she's way too independent. She doesn't want to be slowed down by anything. She doesn't want to be responsible for another life. We don't have to give her a pet. But this is prompting you to stop and think about that. Excellent bubonic one. Venlin, I wish I could give you a I wish I could give you a price, but for the physical or even the digital versions, you can find varying prices on them. And so all I can do is ask that you support your local game store, and if they've earned your business, give them the business first, and pick up either the gift set or just the player's handbook alone from them. Otherwise, you can check out online merchants as well. A pet introvert frog named Hermit. Now, also as a prompt, a token to remember your parents by. And so what we'll do is we'll have our token be a trinket from Chapter 5. And trinkets are magic items, quasi-magical, kind of interesting, slightly creepy at times objects. Just something kind of uncommon that makes you think, why do I have this thing? What will it do? Hey, Daily, welcome. And also, do we have to accept that our parents are dead? Just because we rolled an urchin doesn't mean that every urchin is an orphan. We rolled an urchin character, actually the last urchin that we rolled ended up being a widow. I mean, she was a functional adult. A fire claimed her husband and her son, leaving her with no money, no property, and no family. And so she was actually destitute from that. She was living on the streets until she was taken in by some dwarves, and was given a home to get back on her feet. And that's what led her to be an urchin, because she was made homeless for a while. You shall see, Azrael. You buy everything twice. I buy my books from a local store and then another copy on D&D Beyond. There's a cat on the prowl. We might see cat butt at some point. All right, what else? Token, a set of common clothes, and a belt pouch containing 10 GP. Our background feature is City Secrets, which lets us scamper around in an urban environment more quickly with less danger. Doesn't mean there's no danger. And not just us, but that could even include, some of our friends we call our party members. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Daily. Have I revealed that Coffee Cat's character is the big bad evil guy yet? I worked late last night. No, I have not yet revealed that Coffee Cat is in fact the big bad evil guy of the campaign. All right, let's understand our character now. What does she think about? How does she act? What has influenced her to be the character she is today as we know her? Personality traits 5 and 8. Doop, 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 doop. Move this off to the side. Number 5. I eat like a pig and have bad manners. All right, so she scarfs food. She probably, burps, farts, cusses. So something has led her to have this this very kind of loosey-goosey style lifestyle. And she's a high elf. High elves are supposed to receive training and other such things. So this is something to think about. What happened in her childhood. Arguably, she's still a child because she's not 100 yet, if we want to abide by that mention in the player's handbook. But what happened where she was being brought up as a high elf in presumably a nice family? It doesn't have to be. Not like elves can't have, you know, a broken home, an abusive home, that kind of a thing. And her personality trait number 2 is prompt 8. I bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. So she's very outspoken, and she's very brusque. B-R-U-S-Q-U-E. There you go. Enjoy your vocab word for the day. She's a very brusque individual. No social graces to speak of. I mean, she could be charismatic. I mean, if we want, we can give her a higher charisma. But she's just not well-mannered. She's not, you know, socially trained. And so, you know, she'll go up to a woman and say, "Hey, lady, are you pregnant or just fat?" Or, you know, maybe not to be like a butt about it, but if she's honestly curious and she can't tell for herself, you know, it doesn't mean that she has to be stupid, but she just doesn't have a brain to mouth filter. Dr. House. Okay. Yeah, she has no filter. Tactless doctor, no bedside manner whatsoever. Now, her ideal is number 3. Change. The low are lifted up, and the high and mighty are brought down. Change is the nature of things. And you can stop and say, all right, Maddie Morgs, if that is your real name, how can you have a quote-unquote chaotic ideal and run a lawful neutral character? That's dumb. You're dumb. This whole game is dumb. I'm out of here. In which case, see ya? Your alignment is simply an expression of your character. Your character can have impulsive thoughts, chaotic thoughts. However, when she asks her question, she may not do so with a laugh or, you know, kind of like pointing or anything. She is methodical, right? She looks out for herself, but isn't completely selfish. That kind of explains the neutral alignment portion. And so when you get this this kind of an ideal, she sees that there is a natural cycle. Let's look at the information we have. She is a cleric of nature. This is the seasons may seem chaotic, but they're lawful. They happen one after another in a traditional order. And so she sees change all around her, but it could be orderly change, understood change. You know, you can't grow the forest unless you have the old canopy of the deciduous forest die and fall into the earth to be mulched up and absorb the following summer, like spring and summer. It doesn't make her chaotic. It just is expressing she has these ideas, or she has this way of adaptive thinking. And when she expresses herself, especially if it's like an insult, you know, you're saying Dr. House, also think of Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family movies. Or think of, I don't know, what are some other kind of deadpan characters that are rather blunt? You have Lydia Deeks from Beetlejuice. Could work also. Yeah, and exactly. Change doesn't mean fire-eyed revolutionary, especially if you know you can live 700 years. Plant the seeds now, let them grow. Nature will take its course. You might have to exercise patience through it, though. Now, her bond is number 4. I owe a debt I can never repay to the person who took pity on me. Is this the order that taught her to be an administrator of natural order or natural justice? Is this the facility, the monastery, the nunnery that brought her in and gave her a life from being an urchin? You know, brought her organization and understanding. Maybe even made her literate. It could even be that maybe she could have been a legitimate orphan. Even as a child, never knew her kids, wandered in. And it could be an elven monastery, so they were able to teach her high elf ways, even though she didn't have parents. Or at least none that were alive or known to be. So her bond is to someone and or a place or an organization that gave her pity in some way. This could even be, she could have been traveling the last 10 years as a nature cleric. She's already gone through that. However, there was a time when she was attacked on the road, savaged by bandits. Good traditional encounter. An encounter you can have if you do exclamation point in random planes. And she was about to die when someone saved her life. And she feels that she owes an eternal debt to this person. This is why backgrounds are so important in 5th ed. They help bring your world to life as a player, but especially if you are a dungeon master and you receive this character sheet to peruse and to get approval. This person has now provided you with an NPC or an organization or a location. Probably several, because now there's a city, right? There's a city in which she explores, or some sort of equivalent. Doesn't have to be a bustling metropolis necessarily. Backgrounds are wonderful because they bridge fluff or storytelling with crunch or the mechanics. Now, lastly, what is her flaw? Because we are all flawed creatures, my friends. Her flaw is number 3. I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. So she can be standoffish. She can be a bit of a loner. And that could then lead, maybe her personality trait is a defensive mechanism. What if her parents abandoned her or abused her? What if she was somehow like severely bullied? Right? What is creating her trust issue? Hang on 1 second here. Hi, cat. Don't mind me. What's creating her trust issue? And does that play into her ideal of change? Is this a simmering plot of revenge? Was it someone who is in a position of power that abused that power? In some way? And what could you do as a player or as a DM? You know, if she owes this debt but she can't trust someone, she's treating this person in a lawful neutral manner. This is she recognizes the debt, she owes the debt, but she may not trust or have any particular affection for her saviors, or the organization or location that they represent. So I'm definitely picking up very independent vibes from her, right? Kind of detached. She's on the margin of society because something happened, and she feels excluded. Minis indeed. From Misfit. Misfit, what kind of minis would you like? All of them. Well, I don't know if $25 will get you all of them. But the whole store thing. So would you like that bagged also? But yeah, you could get a I mean, you could get a single pull out of one of the big boxes. Yeah, we do have Storm Kings. I have 2 boxes left at the house. I have some more at the store. I have 2 boxes of Monster Menagerie 3 here. And I have 5 boxes of Storm King's Thunder. And Gamer Katie just subscribed on YouTube. So Gamer Katie, I don't know if you're here in this chat right now, but thank you very much. A full pull MM3. What would you like to do with the other $3 then? Do you want to float that, or what is your thought there? That's for the goal. TwitchCon. Thank you very much then, Misfit. That has been continuing to creep up there, so I appreciate all the progress done in dollars or cents. All right, so these are our prompts, and these are all leading us to consider what has brought her into this lifestyle. This background is something that has impact and is formative on her. All right, next up, let us go to the racial qualities. Now we're talking about the things that she just inherently has by virtue of being an elf. Elves increase their dexterity by 2, and so I'm going to float that 2 here. Our speed is 30 feet, giving us a 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. Our dark vision, we have dark vision out to 60 feet. We also have proficiency in the perception skill. We have Fey Ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. And advantages versus charmed. We can also trance. We learn Common and Elvish for languages. Elvish, Elven, however you want to type it in there. And this is the standard package for all elves. Be you a wood elf, a high elf, or a drow. Now we're going to tack on what we're getting goodie-wise from being a high elf. And I don't mean to skip over this. This is excellent inspiration, and it can help you find a basis for why this subrace gets what they get. But for purposes of this, when we're creating our own character, you know, she's customized to a world that we're building, or we're focusing on an individual in a world that has millions of elves. where on the whole, you know, sociologically, you know, in some sort of like macroeconomic sense, they probably behave very similarly. But this one is behaving as she is because we have the ability to just make an individual. Our intelligence score is going to increase by 1, so we're going to float that here. We're going to get some elf weapon training. We have proficiency with longsword, short bow, and longbow. So weapons, I'm going to put long/short, sword/bow. And of course, being a cleric is going to give us some other weapons, but we'll get to that shortly. We're also going to get a wizard cantrip of our choice. So under cantrips here, this is going to be high elf, and we'll just put that here. And this is going to be based off of int. Well, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. And we get an extra language. So I'm going to put a placeholder here, because she's a little bit more versatile. So the new backgrounds in Saltmarsh are really fun. Fisher, Marine, Shipwright, and Smuggler. Ooh, I will definitely be looking forward to adding those. In fact, if there's 4 of them, that means we can make a party and have 1 each of those available. And maybe just throw in a sailor for good measure from the player's handbook. Azrael, you say the human orphans made fun of her ears? They very well may have. And they must pay. Alright, so congratulations. We're an elf. Yay. That's not nearly as dramatic as the background. Though something to think about is if we have elven weapon training, where did we receive this if our parents aren't around? We haven't decided that yet. If we're separated from them. Was it something that was taught to us while they're still alive or still around? Before they died or went to jail or ran off or whatever? Was this something that the monks taught us in the monastery as we were being raised on this this nature religion? Is it something that honestly it's just intuitive? I was born with these skills. I've always been a prodigy. I've always been a prodigy with these weapons. It just feels natural. Okay. If you have a reason, then provide it, right? Play into it. Because that could open up a ton of other doors for you. Oh, that sounds really fun, Daly. Now, lastly, we are going to look at what you get for being a cleric. Yes, our class is the last thing that we do for the character build. At least if we're looking at kind of mechanics, yes, but also for personality traits and why did she get to be the way that she is. Level 4, we're not going to sweat too much. It's just this stuff right here. Look at that. Don't let anything else confuse you or get you upset if you're a new player. We have 4 D8 hit die, and that's because we're level 4, and clerics are a D8 hit die class. That measures how many hit points we get per level, and our ability to sort of self-recover from the stresses of combat. Because not all hit point damage is injury alone. Light armor, medium armor, and shields are going to be what we have proficiency in. Light, medium, and shields. All simple weapons, so long sword, longbow, shortbow. And then just simple weapons. Our saving throw proficiencies are wisdom and charisma. No tool proficiencies, and we're going to get to choose 2 skills from history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Let's look at our personality. I eat like a pig and have bad manners. I bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. Change, the low are lifted up, and the high and mighty are brought down. Change is the nature of things. I owe a debt I can never repay to the person who took pity on me, and I will never fully satisfy, not satisfy curiosity. I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. So she's not very trusting. If she doubts people, right, then insight could be an important skill for her. Or if we want to lean into her training, right? She was brought in as an urchin to the monastery. She could have been trained in medicine. She's probably not going to be very persuasive. Nothing about her personality is really leaning there. Religion can also be brought up because of her training, right? When she was brought in, when she was brought up, also after being brought in. Medicine seems likely. With that, then, are you thinking then sort of insight and religion? Her domain is the nature domain, oh sheeps. Oh wait, what is a subclass? All clerics get basic cleric stuff. Then depending on your subclass, in this case for clerics it's which pantheon or god or which domain do you follow, and that will give you more specialized things to that end instead of the general I'm a cleric and all clerics get this. Does the nature domain get the nature skill? You get one of the following skills of your choice: animal handling, nature, or survival. Oh, hey, and we're also going to get heavy armor proficiency. So we actually are going to get heavy, light. So actually it'll be all armor and shields. We'll just reduce that down. Yeah, well, if you want to throw nature in, we could give her survival if she had to live in the mean streets of the city for a while. She doesn't like people too much. That's true. She might prefer to hang out with animals, or she might even say, "I can't trust animals." Also, and what are people if not animals? It's how far do we want to take this? What is a compelling story for a character who has these circumstances? I'm kind of digging insight. And medicine. And we can give her Bubonic, you want to give her nature then instead? Age of Tesla. So far, we have generated a female high elf nature cleric who has the Urchin background, and we are determining her skills from this as we're exploring her backstory, and we're conceptualizing her in our minds. Who is she? How does she act? What led her to be this way? So some equipment. we'll get some equipment if granted by her background. A mace or a warhammer. Now, a warhammer, I don't know, if you're an elf, you're not proficient with martial weapons, with the exception of longswords and longbows. If your DM consents and says, well, you know, a warhammer and a longsword are the same damage, I don't care. Take a longsword and you just have to come up with a story that it was your parents or something along those lines. Cool. Why not bring that up, right? Explore it. So we can even let's put that down here as an example. So we're gonna give her a long S word here. Scale mail, leather armor, or chainmail if proficient. Well, you know what? We are, and if we so choose, we can give her chain armor. But if we see her perhaps as a little bit more flexible, a little bit more dexterous, maybe we only go with the medium armor instead. Or if she can't trust people, if she carries these feelings of burden, pardon me, if she carries feelings of burden or regret, she might wear heavy armor as an outward symbol of that, or of those feelings. Is Elven Chain a thing? You mean like Mithril? That is something that you could get, yes. I don't quite see how a lawful neutral street urchin gets her hands on a longsword. In throwing around ideas, Age of Tesla, it could end up being that it was her parents' sword. The monastery could have been holding on to it. It could just be that as a monastery, and they teach fighting, or you know, as a nature belief system. You know, the swords are tools that they use to chop away brush as they go out on expeditions. Doesn't have to be a long sword, but mechanically, with the exception is it deals slashing damage instead of bludgeoning damage, it's the same thing. If we can link it into her family, then that immediately pulls the character and her pilot into the story. You know, what if she was left on the orphanage or the temple steps with things that would have been her legacy as a high elf? Except, well, she doesn't have parents because they're out there, or I don't know, they're not. They could be dead. Great stuff to explore. Yeah, so it'd be like a machete. Yeah. Let's see, a light crossbow and 20 bolts or any simple weapon. You know, if she's kind of clumsy, if she's not too dexterous, if we don't want to make her that way, then instead of the light crossbow, which I guess she could take if she wants to hunt, maybe we want to give her a, we can give her a, I was going to say a short bow, but you might as well take the light crossbow, I suppose. A mace, you know, a bonkin stick kind of a thing. A quarter staff could be interesting as well. Then a priest's pack or an explorer's pack. As she was raised and she feels an extreme debt to the person or to the organization, she's probably carrying a priest pack to be able to perform various rituals in order to help spread the word, and also as a reminder of her mission or her goal. A shield and a holy symbol. It could be. There's no reason why it couldn't. It could be in a jungle. Could be in some interesting, quick-growing, deciduous, temperate area. It could be whatever we need it to be, Tesla. Could be a heavy forest just with a lot of thick underbrush. Oh, you want to give her a shillelagh? She probably has that. She probably would take that as a spell even. Something dense to slash through. Maybe her parents lost or dropped her in a wood elf city. Hey, there you go. All right. We'll worry about spells. She doesn't even have scores yet, and I'm not worried about her ability scores. We will get Channel Divinity. Which is going to be Turn Undead. She's not high enough yet for Destroy Undead. That'll come next level. So Turn Undead, and there we go. That's what we get for being a cleric. I mean, there's a spell casting, but we'll get there. Now, for being a nature, we are going to get some domain spells that do not count against the number of spells that we can prepare otherwise. Animal friendship and speak with animals, as well as bark skin and there we go, spike growth. Cleric spells prepared equals wisdom plus, or wisdom mod plus level. And we cast off of wisdom. Our Channel Divinity is usable once per day right now. And I'll reflect that up here. Hey, Grimvex. So we took our Acolyte of Nature, we took our bonus proficiency. Our other Channel Divinity is Charm Animals and Plants. Starting at 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to charm animals and plants. As an action, you present your holy symbol and invoke the name of your deity. Each beast or plant creature that can see within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails its saving throw, it is charmed by you for 1 minute or until it takes damage. While it is charmed by you, it is friendly to you and other creatures you designate. And there we go, because we're generating a level 4 character. Not a ton of extra stuff. We won't get our next subclass feature until 6 with Dampen Elements. Now, we select her feat, as we rolled that she would take a feat instead of a straight-up stat bump, an ability score improvement, an ASI, where you would get 2 points to put into 1 stat, or 1 point to put into 2 stats. What would be good? You know, I wonder if a part of me wouldn't want to just give her medium armor and actually make her dexterous because she grew up. I feel always like Thrall or Thor with Tempest Obeyed. Yeah, nature clerics and druids are different, but, you know, mechanically, of course, but in terms of presentation, it could just be their methodology. It could be, you know, just a particular deity, or that the nature clerics have a deity and the druids just worship the land, regardless of deity. Let's see. I eat like a pig and have bad manners. I bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. Change. The lower lifted up and the high and mighty are brought down. Change. Change is the nature of things. There we go. I owe a debt I can never repay to a person who took pity on me, and I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. What would make her more self-reliant then? Magic Initiate could be interesting if we did want to splash in some Ranger or some Druid spells. You're off for work? Later, Maddie and chat. Thanks for the stream. Hey, Israel, thanks for hanging out with us. It's a pleasure to have you around. I'm over here gnawing on my mustache as I'm trying to consider here. I don't see her, though, as like being like super heavily armored. Is she more of a sneak, like a skulker? That could be cool. You can hide when you're lightly obscured, when you're hidden from a creature and miss it with a ranged weapon attack. And dim light doesn't impose disadvantage. Oh, if we go medium armor master, wearing medium armor doesn't impose disadvantage on stealth checks, and she is very sneaky. And when you wear medium armor, you can add 3 rather than 2 to your AC if you have a dexterity of 16 or higher. You know what though? We're not gonna have that at this level. Spell sniper could be cool. She was an urchin, apparently growing up in a city. Dungeon Delver could be cool. You have advantage on perception and investigation checks made to detect the presence of secret doors. You have advantage on saving throws made to avoid or resist traps. You have resistance to the damage dealt by traps, and you can search for traps while traveling at a normal pace. That sounds pretty good for her. Right? As someone who's explored, as someone who is fine living life bluntly, because she knows that, you know, she goes into these out-of-the-way places. Her training has helped her to be able to survive it. Maybe she's trying to find her parents, and this could be a way to do that. An urchin is likely more sneaky than stand and fight in heavy armor. Yeah, so I think instead of going chainmail, this is going to be more of the medium armor that was offered, which was scale, I think. And so she's going to be in medium. She can wear heavy, but she's probably going to prefer medium because it allows her to be more limber. And if that's the case, then if we want to change our long sword into a short sword, I as a DM would be fine with that, but that's, I mean, that's up to you all. We can turn her more into a dex cleric, which is interesting because we're used to the big bruiser. Oh, yeah. Super swole. Elemental Adept could be interesting as well. Simply because we are working with nature. Skulker would be so much fun, though. To just have a cleric hide and cast spells out of the shadows. Well, if you all want something different, I'm going to put down Skulker. And you can't stop me. You can, and you can say, nah, you're dumb. Put up whatever, Mage Slayer. Now, that is not going to confer an ability score boost. So we're going to go just right into this with our standard array plus her racial modifiers. So if we apply these and we go 15... Oh, she would have a 16 dex. Forgot about the racial bump. Depending. Maybe we take medium armor master then? If we do that, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. So actually, strength is going to be her dump stat. Can we still wear our medium armor? I believe so. I think it's just heavy armor. Yeah, just heavy armor needs certain strength requirements. So that would put her dexterity to a 16. That would put her intelligence to a 13. And charisma to a 13 as well. So we have 1, 2, 1, 0, 3, and -1. Now, if you're like, dude, you're making me pull my hair out. This is such a bad inspiration. I mean, as far as builds go, is she optimal? No, she doesn't have to be. She has a lot of character. She has a lot of personality. And everything who she is now has been fit, so it makes sense with her backstory and who she was to become who she is. So she grew up as a weak little orphan, perhaps, or just someone who's like put into this to this foster care of some sorts. Let's go back to Cleric. 4th level, our proficiency is 2. So it's going to give us 5 and 5 for sleight of hand and stealth. 0 con. 1 down the line for intelligence, because she did receive at least a slight education. Wisdom is 4 and 2. Charisma is 3, and then 1 everything else. Passive perception then is going to be a 14, so that's 10 plus our perception modifier, and represents just your general awareness at all times that you're conscious. Our initiative is a dex check, so as a cleric, we're getting to go on a +3. And she is no longer a set of stats. Congratulations. If you think of a name, then we can name her. Current hit points, at level 1, you get your maximum hit points from your hit die. So that's 8, as we're a D8 hit die class. Then for the remaining 3 levels, it's half plus 1, so that would be 5. Half of 8 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Then for all levels, all 4 of them, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. This one's going to be easy because it's 0. So that falls off. This is 15 plus 8. We have 23 hit points. And our armor class is actually going to be pretty high. We have a shield. So there's 2. If we go with the medium armor, that was a 14. A 14, then we can add 3 to that because of our feet. So 17 plus our shield is an armor class of 19. And we do not suffer stealth penalties. Silvia Shadowleaf says bubonic one. What's inspiring that? Is that the name that's been given to her by the monastery? Was that on a note that was, on her bassinet when she was sort of dumped off at at the police station, or what's the story behind the name? You finished half your character sheet and you're excited about playing her now, says O'Sheeps. Gotta go. Great stream as always, Technotron. Thank you for hanging out. It was a pleasure seeing you again. I think 14 int and 12 charisma would be more in character since she's more blunt and outspoken. It is done. I'm open to ideas. Yeah, see? Just as O'Sheep said, if there's some sort of standardization for people who are not of a certain lineage or legally are unable to carry a family name for some reason. Shadowleaf is the name given to her, and she had a note left on her when they found her, was Silvia. Okay. Bionic Sheba, hello and welcome to you. Oh, so you did sign up for a Fable boss battle. Well, that'd be really cool. Thank you. I mean, so there's 2 of us at least. I don't know if anyone else has signed up to do it on D&D time on Friday. So I guess we'll see. But thank you for signing up for it. So she knows someone at least named her, even if they didn't want to care for her. Oh, you have enough? You'll be doing it Friday game 1? Oh, cool. Then I'll make sure that my my bunny folk paladin of vengeance is dusted off and will be ready to go into a boss battle. I'll make sure to touch up my spells. All right, now speaking of spells, let's if she's attacking with her spells, because this is a wisdom-based class for magic, we're going to be slinging our spells at a +4. That being said, if we're using melee weapons with the finesse property, we're actually swinging them at a +5. 1d4 +2, 1d6 +2, piercing. And we simply add 8 to that to get our spell save difficulty class, because it's always 8 plus your proficiency plus your modifier. So this was a +4, and the save DC is there. That means that our wisdom modifier, which is 2 plus our level, is going to be 6. And so we can prepare 6 spells in the 2 slots we have available to us. Like over our given domain spells. And as a high elf, we are going to get 1 cantrip also to give her that she was taught. Maybe this is it could be inborn to her, just passed down in some way, that this genetic knowledge or this capability of manifesting this cantrip. It could have been something that as a young girl she was taught before a tragedy befell her life, and she was removed from her family and ended up drifting, maybe even literally in a basket, kind of like, Moses in Egypt kind of a thing. You have returned from the ad purgatory. Welcome and well fought, Victor. I named my character Arista Rivers, which Arista was a daughter of Poseidon, considering it's going to be a sea sailing theme thing, and so I thought it was appropriate. I like it. It makes sense, and hopefully people can smile and understand. Oh, sheeps. Now, as for the spells here, if we can learn 6, Do we have to fill it out? Not necessarily, because this can change day to day. But one thing that I do want us to sit down and determine is, what is her intelligence-based, which could not even be relevant. What is her wizard cantrip going to be? The thing that she was taught. Perhaps it's a little glimmer of her heritage. Oh, on that note, what is her trinket? What is the thing that was left behind as a reminder of her past, of her family? Let's go to trinkets real quick and gen that up. I'm going to roll a percentile set for it. Maybe this can influence our cantrip, right? As an heirloom that was left behind to us. 67. And 67 says, a gold monocle frame without the lens. A gold monocle frame without the lens. What could that mean? Is this a clue that her mom or dad was, had poor eyesight? Was an official in some regard? Did she just find this and this has been a good luck charm? Doesn't even have to be directly related to, well, her relations. Does she wear the monocle while she's thinking because it makes her feel smarter? Question, if her parents were rich and snobby, would that not be spelled Silvia? Oh, I don't know. And Hypnotic Gamer is here. Yo, right back to you, Hypnotic. Urchin that came from high class. The butler wearing the monocle who is forced to leave at the command of her parents, which would be his boss. And the baby grabbed the monocle chain as the butler was fleeing, and has kept it since. Basic campaign, yeah, so we're going to be making 5 characters over the course of the week, and then we're going to extrapolate information from those characters to build a setting, and we're also going to be infusing some other things into the mix. And as we're finishing up this character, something else to think about, but beyond the cantrip, the wizard cantrip here. As an urchin, it did say that you get a pet of some kind, right? And they recommended a mouse. It could be, I don't know, a spider, could be a frog, could be some other tiny animal. As long as your DM agrees, then, well, take it how you'd like to. Let's give her this, Someone eats like a pig, has bad manners. I bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. The lower lifted up and the high and mighty are brought down. Changes the nature of things. I owe a debt I can never repay. I'll never fully trust anyone other than myself. I'm kind of getting a mage hand feel. Right? If she eats like a pig, she conjures up the mage hand and is just like, she could even just like lay back and just be extra lazy as the mage hand shovels food in, or she has three hands shoveling in food. If she doesn't like how someone's dressed, she can just send out the mage hand to kind of flip the skirt and be like, look at that, doesn't even match. Or otherwise like tousle people's hair or other things like that, because she is not socially adept. Pet dragonfly. Mage hand sounds good. Use the mage hand to steal others' foods. So sure, we can give her... so mage hand doesn't really have an intelligence-related role. So we'll indicate it here. And here. And now this is something that I want to bring in, because yes, we're making a basic character, and we have followed the regiment, we've followed the guide, and we've discussed parts of her past, who she is currently, what spells or weapons does she use. And now this is where I want to encourage you, if you're ever stuck for an idea, you can turn to your local newspaper, for inspiration. What boxes? Oh, I'm sorry, Hypnotic. I have 2 boxes of Monster Menagerie 3, 5 boxes of Storm King's Thunder, and 9 boxes of Tomb of Annihilation. The one you see in the box is the last box of that brick, and then I have a sealed brick just behind me that's ready to go to replace it. You got a natural 20 on your deception there, Victor. Well, yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're not waking people up. But it's very interesting that you're going through that to get that set of skills and learn independent living. And so we can think of things like dragonflies, or if we're like, oh, I don't know, what would someone have? I don't know. What would someone have? Let's look in the local newspaper, at least local here, at least local to me. And so there are different things that talk about animals. For example, cats up for adoption. And so our local humane society every week puts pictures of cats that are up for adoption. And you know, if you see here, oh hey, so our little buddy here has thumbs. I mean, like, more noticeable. Maybe they're just puffed out, but there's also those Hemingway cats too. So if not a cat, we can also get some design or some temperament. For example, how does the pet act? Well, so we have Sonny, Steve, Pilgrim, McClintock, and Colby Jack. And let's say that we decide on a pet, but we don't know necessarily, because look, not just cats, but, you know, pets can have their own independent thoughts. If we want to come back up here to our character randomizer, bring over the dice roller, and we make a five-sided die. Personality number 2. So this pet, let's see. There's Sonny. So this pet is going to be like Steve. Steve is a goofball. He is a year-old brown tabby male that is active, friendly, and fun. So here we go. Pardon. The pet can be active, friendly, and fun, and maybe even have green eyes. Doesn't even have to be a cat. Or you want something like a doggo? You want something like a pupper? Then take a look. Here we have a brother-sister pair at the county pound. Holly and Demon. You know, Husky Shepherd mix. One has heterochromatic eyes. And older. Maybe the pet is older. Maybe the pet might actually pass away sometime on the adventure, and that could lead to feelings of great loss or tragedy. You could even incorporate it into a story arc. On the note about the local paper, Breaking Bad was inspired by a news story about an RV meth lab in New York. I did not know that, Age of Tesla. And so we see where this has come. Let's see if there's any other animal-related stories that we can find. So we have Bike Week coming up, community calendar. Oh, you know what? There's a lot of birding that's going on right now, given the season. And so there was it was called the biggest weekend birding in Ohio, I think was this past weekend. And so if we wanted to see, oh yeah, so what species of bird exist where I live? Maybe you have a pet bird. You know, you found it when there was an egg, it hatched, it bonded to you, and there you go. It would seem so, Bubonic. I've definitely seen a lot more pictures of dogs with that quality. You see a picture like this, you know, there's this old, like, burnt out, half sunken boat. You know, what would live there? Frogs, snakes, those could make interesting pets. And so we can find inspiration all around for this. And, you know, I could even go so far. You know, take a look at this article series, right? So there's this daily record of we have some really big ore shipping freighters that come into port, and they fill up with coal at our coal docks, and they take off to distribute it. And so the babies in boats is a segment where if there are births at some of the local hospitals that people want to make public, they'll advertise it, and then they'll also say if there are any ships that are coming into port. And what if, you know, it says that you have a pet, you know, you have a small creature that relies on you. There's nothing saying that our Urchin doesn't have a child. Could even be a baby, could be a toddler elf, maybe even a half elf, who knows? You know, if she's lived on the streets for a portion of time, or something happened, you know, before, during, or after her time in the monastery, you know, in this seminary institution. What if her pet is actually a child, like a baby that she carries with her? You know, kind of in a swaddle, or like a papoose or something. That could change a lot. And you know what? You could always propose that. I mean, how many of you have ever played a character like that has, like, a child even back at home where it's presumably safe, let alone kind of this lone wolf and cub style character, you know, who has your battle baby, you know, and is willing to go out into the world. But of course, you know, you might not always look for adventure, but adventure would find you. And so how do you act, and what do you do? This could also develop the character even further. If we wanted to give her a child instead of a pet. But this idea wouldn't, I mean, it's not that we can't think about that. You know, it's not that we couldn't consider replacing, you know, pet with a bird or a cat or a dog. But here, simply by going through the newspaper, this is inspiration that could possibly work. What if she actually, now there's a charlatan background that sort of manifests a child itself. But this could have you look at it and maybe step sideways from the prompt. She has a small dependent creature that can't really function on its own without her. And what do you want to do with that information? And here is inspiration. All right, Vixen, a female fox. Is it a little kit? Does she have a pet fox? Anyway, I think you get the idea, and we'll do more of this also with our second character, but I gotta get up. I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna get some ghost pepper salsa con queso while I'm up. I'm going to stretch, I'm going to refill my drink, and when we come back, we're going to start over, and we're going to make character number 2 in a party of 5 for this week that will also have newspaper influenced aspects to him or her.